Hello, it's Kat again, and today I feel really moved to talk about the state of psychedelic medicine. I live in Colorado and work in Colorado and have been involved in that industry since the conferences went online in 2020. And I've held the same perspective the whole time. I've been very reticent and cautious against these large doses. I'm going to get into it a little bit today, a lot of different topics, because the way that I operate, what I believe, is very different from the mainstream. I have a background in occupational therapy, and neurologic rehab in hospitals was a specialty of mine, helping people relearn to walk, use the bathroom, talk, feed themselves. So, rewiring brains is something that I've been into since I started my master's research project on chronic stroke rehab in 2006. So, we're talking about almost 20 years in the neuro rehab field. On top of that, I have been an intuitive, non-denominational minister and healing practitioner since 2016. So, coming up, I just celebrated 9 years since I left Western medicine. So, almost a decade in the intuitive and holistic realm. So, combining both the Western medicine and the intuitive and holistic, that has led me to very different conclusions than the mainstream and popularized psychedelic models, including the ones that are state regulated through DORA in Colorado. From what I've seen is that the psychoanalytic model, or like talk therapy type therapist, kind of took over psychedelics back in 2020 and have popped this large dose model into the psychoanalytic model. And since the get-go, I have had two main things. One is that not involving occupational therapist means that you are creating a system for able-bodied people, able-bodied wealthy people. And we'll get into that part too. So that's the first thing. The occupational therapists have been basically ignored in the creation of this new system, and the OTs are the ones who would open up this system to be for everyone, including people with disabilities who might need different help with transfers or other needs that other professionals are not professionally equipped to provide. The second piece is these large dose experiences that take lots of hours, especially in one-on-one environments. It's super expensive. And so group therapy would be appropriate as part of the model to help with costs. Or the thing that I don't understand is, why haven't we looked at low dose models or microdosing models? Like, why has all the focus been on these large doses? I don't get it. It doesn't feel responsible. If we're actually practicing in the Western paradigm, in this paradigm in America, large dose psychedelics destabilize your brain. They reopen the critical learning period and destabilize you, is ultimately what's happening. And for wealthy people who don't have to work, don't have a lot of pressure, can take time off, can go to a retreat afterwards and have all this integration time and support and have money for therapy, yeah, the large doses might work for them. But the fact is, people are getting hurt. Real people who have families, jobs, responsibilities, bills, actual like significant mental health or physical health issues, these large dose therapies are not in service to them from what I am observing and what I believe. For people, I equate it to weight loss. Macrodose or large dose psychedelics is like changing everything super quick, fast, quick fix, which it's not. And low dose psychedelics in combination therapy, where you're doing behavioral therapy, you're getting body work or acupuncture. It's like a multimodal approach, which in neurologic rehab and Western medicine rehab, multimodal approaches, multidisciplinary approaches give the best outcomes. And in my opinion, the proper use of psychedelics would be low dose therapy in a multimodal approach. And that's like losing weight slowly, incremental change. Let's modulate the nervous system and rewire the brain slowly and intentionally, because then we're not destabilizing the brain. We're not reopening this critical learning period for 4, 8, 12 weeks. It's like a 4 to 6 hour window that opens where you can slowly and intentionally work with the medicines as an amplifier and not the source of healing. I hope this is making sense. This is really, this has been on my heart for so long. And and we're getting to a point now where the psychedelic healing centers are opening in Colorado, and they're offering these expensive high dose therapies. And it's the therapists who aren't advertised, aren't out there, that are doing the low dose therapy in combination, who are really helping people and gifting the medicine and, not monetizing or making this a capitalist endeavor. So I really want to give people pause on who you work with, how you work with plant medicine, and really take pause on the larger doses of psychedelics and know that it destabilizes you and there's a lot of risks involved. In addition to that, there's microdose coaches out there, and a lot of them don't have a medical background necessarily. And so I see a protocol that like 5 days on, 2 days off is out there and has been there. And as a person who works in neuroscience and Western medicine and has that background and also does intuitive practice, it makes no sense to me why you would do 5 days in a row. You're just exciting dendrites, opening up connections. But the whole point is to integrate and to make new connections. So for me, from my clinical background, awareness, and experience, day on, day off makes way more sense because if you microdose and do intentional practice and open up those pathways, don't you want a day to integrate them so they solidify and become a new neural network? Why take the microdose again and re-excite those dendrites? Why not integrate and solidify the changes? So day on, day off makes so much more sense to me as a neuro rehab professional than this 5 days on, 2 days off. I don't really understand where that, I know that it came from, I think Stamets or, one of the, and I appreciate people giving their perspective and setting up a foundation, but we don't have to stay with the static information. We can elevate our awareness, we can elevate our practice. So if you're microdosing, I recommend having therapists, doing behavioral therapy, having intentional practices, and considering that day on, day off practice so that you can actually integrate the changes that you're making. Is that enough? Is that enough info? Did you pick all that up? So, in summary, know that you are destabilized. Ayahuasca is up to 12 weeks. A large mushroom dose is like 8 weeks. And you are at risk for re-traumatization and harm during that time. With microdosing, the subperceptual, like under, doses, the lower doses, that's like 4 to 6 hours, of changing your brain and opening you up for new wiring, which is a lot more manageable for normal people who have jobs, who have responsibilities, and aren't just independently wealthy or supported by someone to take off work for a bunch of time for integration. So for the real people, the people who have physical disabilities, the people who are neurodivergent, the people who have chronic pain, this low dose therapy, the microdosing over a period of time with the guidance of a professional, that to me is a safe system. And I hope that since science tends to be a self-correcting system, that the ableist, elitist system that has been developed in Colorado can be course corrected and we can actually create safe support and education and access for everyone. In closing, I also want people to take a moment to think about your relationship with the earth. I think it's inappropriate just to jump to plant medicines, strong psychedelic plant medicines and fungi as a first defense in this mental health and healing journey. In my opinion, working with subtle energy first and having a healthy relationship with the earth is important as a foundation before you navigate those areas. So your relationship to food is foundational. your nutritional health, your physical health, your gut health. That is a first line of defense. Then working with sacred herbs, non-psychoactive plants like rose or yarrow or lemon balm. There's so many medicinal herbs. Learning to interact with those subtle energies sets the stage for if you do want to navigate and work with the psychedelic parts of the plant kingdom and animal and fungi kingdom, that you have these subtle relationships first before you just go get overtaken by these medicines. So, this is my opinion. This is what I will be hoping to create and offer for my community because I do think there's an order of operations and safety and energetic considerations and neurologic considerations that are just being totally passed over and neglected by the current leaders in the psychedelic movement in Colorado and beyond. So, take this for what you will and take my opinions for what you will. But again, as someone with a medical background and as an intuitive, body worker, uh, the plant medicine should be used in low doses as an amplifier in a multimodal therapy approach, not this high dose therapy, and we'll see what happens. It's irresponsible, it's ungrounded, and it can be dangerous for people. So, be discerning who you work with, how you work with them, and really sit with knowing that the answers are inside of you. There's no outside quick fix. And the earth wants to be in relationship with you, but she would appreciate some foreplay before you go straight to her most psychoactive products and produce. So be a good lover and think about your relationship with your earth and yourself as the foundation for your health and well-being. Until next time, this has been Kat of Current Ritual, and I hope there was something here for you today. Thanks for listening.